Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Unmasked Crusaders. This is the weekly podcast live stream by Ralph Usatola, JD, and Rima E. Labo, MD. Dr. Rima will be with us momentarily. We are live streamed over YouTube, and we have our audio internationally broadcast over People for People Radio Network. We thank them for this opportunity. It appears that there's a slight delay today in the streaming of the program. We're waiting for our producer at the People for People Network to initiate a Skype call, at which point you will see Dr. Rima appearing on the screen along with me. In the meantime, it is indeed a strange time that we live in. They are, as the Chinese curse used to say, interesting times. Of course, we seem to be living in a Chinese curse in several ways. Tonight's program will feature Zach, a Google whistleblower, and Marianne, an investigative journalist who works with him. We'll also, of course, have Dr. Rima Labo on to ask incisive questions and bring important information to us. I see we have images popping on our screen. That's good. That means the folks are getting ready to start the People for People live stream. But I'd like to start with those of you who may join us and have joined us, as I see from my screen here. We're using a program called Prism, which allows me to set up these little screens, screenshots and links and whatnot. And that easily puts us out over the YouTube system. At the same time, our friends at People for People Radio Network are taking the audio, or at least will be in a minute or two, and sending that over their system as well. So who are the guests tonight? Zach and Marianne? Oh, there we go. They're calling me in. You get to see it raw, folks. All right. This is Ralph, and I've answered the phone. There we go. All right. Excellent. Okay. Greetings, folks. Dr. Rima, are you with us? Where's Dr. Rima?
Not yet.
73. And we're also on a different Skype screen, so I have to go to my Skype screen here and pick 73 instead of 77. All right. Okay. And there we go. I see, Gaz, I see your icon, and I welcome your icon. All right.
I see your icon, I raise you an icon.
Because we have people who listen to us or actually join us visually over YouTube at 6 o'clock, I've started that stream already. There are a dozen people here, and there'll be more shortly. So as you begin the actual program and get Dr. Rima in, they will be watching the process. We are completely transparent here. You see the whole thing as it happens. Where is Dr. Rima is the question. I'm going to call her. You got her?
I've just pulled her into the room. There she is.
There you go.
Here I am on my phone, but I'd love it if you would call me back on my, so I can join on my computer.
Okay, well, go and start your computer and I'll pull you in again then.
All right, thank you.
All right. What we can do, Gaz, if you'd like, is begin the program with the music, and then by that time, hopefully, Dr. Rima will be available again.
Okay.
I was telling you.
Just remember then that, let me just check the server.
All right.
Okay. Just remember though that the first guest, Marianne, whatever, you'll need to pull her in. I've not got her contact.
That's very interesting. Well, we'll find. I think she will be physically the same location as Zach, and so they'll probably be able to get on together. But we'll work that out when we get to them. It is.
Well,
it is.
I would rather work it out now, Ralph, to be quite honest with you, because if they're in a different room, I've pulled Zach into the room that you're in at the moment. Okay. We're all in the room, the one place except for Marianne, because I cannot find her Skype contact.
I sent her the link to this window, and she should be able to get on.
Okay, when Dr. Rima Labo is talking, then if you if she doesn't join, then it's going to be your responsibility to go and try and find her and bring her into the room then.
No problem.
She's not registered for me. Okay, right, I'm starting the music now. I'm going to start the stream now, and anytime you're ready, Ralph, you start talking and I'll reduce the music, okay?
Thank you. Well, folks, we can't hear the music, so be quiet a second. And welcome everyone to the Unmasked Crusaders, the Dr. Rima and Counsel Ralph weekly podcast over YouTube and audio internationally broadcast through the People for People radio network. If you go to opensourcetruth.com, you'll find out how to join People for People network and listen to the audio. Otherwise, if you're here on the YouTube live stream, welcome to be here. We are happy to reach you in numerous ways. We have Dr. Rima Lebo as, of course, the co-host, and as you see, if you're watching the YouTube stream, there is a screen waiting for her face. Let me tell you a little bit. There she is. Hello, Dr. Rima. All right, there's a screen including her face. All right. Welcome, Dr. Rima. You are live. And I'm telling the folks that our guests in a half an hour or so will be Zach and Marianne. Zach is a whistleblower. He will tell us some extraordinary things about one of the companies that controls our access to information, Google. And the other is Marianne, who is an investigative journalist. And who
May I
Yes.
interrupt you, Rob? He will tell us about a lawsuit involving one of the companies that wants to be one of the companies that controls our access to information. That only happens because we are allowing it foolishly.
Indeed, Dr. Rima, absolutely. True statement, true statement. So we're going to start at we've built this program, and if you're not on the Dr. Rima email list, you need to get on it right away. Go to opensourcetruth.com. There's right there in the top of the main screen, a couple of inches down, there's a place you can sign up. You need to be on the list. And if you were on the list, you would know things that no one else knows other than people who make the list. So and who are they, by the way? They're not just Dr. Rima and myself. They are some extraordinary individuals from places as far away as Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. And they are people who have strong points of view and important information. Go ahead, Dr. Rima.
And they're not always points that Ralph and I agree with, but they're important points of view. And we think that's an important part of information education. We don't have to provide only our point of view. We have to provide intelligent, vigorous discussion points of view. I want to add that the phone is ringing. That's so exciting. I want to point out that if you are on our mailing list, and I hope you are, you may suddenly discover that you're not getting any emails from us. That's because periodically Google and Yahoo and the other internet service providers will lop off 10, 20, 30,000 people from our list at a time. Chop, chop, chop. So if you don't hear from us, re-sign up. Or if you have 2 emails, sign up on both of them, and perhaps only one will get whacked. This is a continual part of the battle. Now, I would like to show you another part of the battle on my screen, but right now only my phone is receiving the Skype call. I don't know. I'm going to ask Ralph to share the screen and show the image that I got in my email when I tried to answer a WordPress email to moderate a comment on one of our articles. The article is about the possible coming color war in the United States, similar to the yellow vests in France, the orange flags in Ukraine, the rose flags in Belarus, the green flags of the Arab Spring. Are we heading toward that kind of civil insurrection? Possibly. And so when I opened the email that WordPress automatically sends when we get a comment, Ralph, can you share screen?
I'm working on that. I'm working on that now. I actually have the image up, but I don't know how I put it on the YouTube channel. That's going to be interesting. I will try to do that, but I can read it to the folks. It's a big red banner. Now, this is an email.
Can you share screens on Skype?
Put it on the Skype. Oh, yes. Thank you. That's a very smart way to do it.
That's what you told me to do when I said I didn't know how to do it.
All right. I just have to find the right place to share screens. Let me see. Save. No. All right. We're going to put this over here. Now, the problem is, Dr. Rima, that I have this image only on the Skype Direct with You, but not on the joint Skype. And I can't share that screen. I'm afraid, folks, I'm going to have to read it to you. And you'll see when you see this, and we'll post it up on Open Source Truth, of course. It's a big red banner. And this is an email from WordPress, the company that we use to set up Open Source Truth. It's a company that everybody, point that out, everybody uses to set up their web pages. And it's a message. This message seems dangerous. Big red banner. White words, red banner. Big red X. WordPress Open Source Truth via DreamHost. Many people have marked similar messages as phishing scams. So this might contain unsafe content. Avoid clicking links, downloading attachments, or replying with personal information. Report dangerous, look safe. Now this was on an email from WordPress to us. And it's a message telling us that going on to our own website to moderate the content may very well be dangerous to us. It's a phishing scam. Now, the article that it refers to is a link to a video about COVID-19 and about some of the lies that have been said about that false pandemic. So apparently, you're automatically assumed to be phishing, which is trying to get other people's information and to use it for your own vile purposes whenever you're talking about unapproved subjects. This is a new move. This is a different way of taking people down.
I have been getting these warnings, smaller banners than that one, frequently from WordPress when I try to go onto our own site. But this is a new level of scare tactic to me as a site owner, telling me to be very afraid of my own site. As it turns out, ironically enough, the comment that I was being alerted had been posted so that I could moderate, basically said, this is a terrible film. It doesn't tell us anything useful about COVID. You should do better. This is not a good thing. You shouldn't post this. Shame on you. So it's not exactly as if the comment was saying, oh, thank you for informing me. It's a very, the comment dissents greatly from the video that I posted because I happen to think it's a well presented demonstration of the fact that the COVID statistics that we've been fed are beyond balderdash. However, whether he agreed with me or not, the fact that the commenter attempted to engage in a dialogue, and I thank him for doing so, whether he agrees with me or not, the fact that the commentator attempted to engage in a dialogue elicited this AI scrutiny that says the truth is dangerous. And I say yes, the truth is dangerous to lies, to liars, to fascism, to tyranny, to medical tyranny. Yes, indeed, damn well the truth is dangerous. And so although I was horrified by this level of, this new level of assault, I was also delighted to see that the sticks that were sticking in the eyes of the liars are actually prickling them. That is a good thing. And we need to do more of that, much, much more. By the way, in order to do that, we need resources. And if you feel impelled to support these activities by sending money to us, we would like that very much. There are a couple of ways you can do that.
Let me tell people the best way to do it. There's a website called nsfmarketplace.com. I have an echo. Dr. Rima, I have a bad echo. Can you mute yourself for a moment?
Can I what? You're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
You want me to mute myself, did you say?
Yes.
You want me to mute myself, all right? I have to figure out
Now, hopefully, you can all hear me. Yeah, that's not good. The website is nsfmarketplace.com. N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, F as in Frank. nsfmarketplace.com. You'll see there books and other information, some products, and you'll see there a red button that says support. Go to the support button and help us as you can. Dr. Rima, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Ralph, you're breaking up badly. I'm going to repeat that, folks. nsfmarketplace.com is the e-commerce store for the Natural Solutions Foundation. It's on WordPress, so at the moment, they haven't labeled us as dangerous, but since we do things like sell books there, we may be dangerous. Anyway, if you'd like to support us, we'd be very grateful, because this is an expensive battle. It's not a small battle, it's your battle. We're fighting for the right to disseminate information, opinion, fact, and it's not a right that the powers that think they be want us to be able to have. So we're fighting hard for it, because it's fundamental to support the most fundamental right, and that is ownership of your body. That is health freedom. That is the foundational stone of all freedom. If you're a slave, you can have privileges, but you can't have freedom. There is no liberty in slavery. And if your body is owned by the state or the corporation, or God help us, the corporate state, then you are a slave. Make no mistake. And there is no freedom. There might be privileges. You might get Sunday off or not.
Right.
But that's not freedom. Would you like to talk a bit, Ralph, about the estimate of situation that we have and how we got it?
I would love to, but as I speak, I get an echo. And it's going to be very tough for me to talk while I'm hearing myself echoing. Indeed, we are apparently being interfered with. I'm trying to close
So
this.
do you think, should I go to the document at hand and perhaps introduce it and read it?
Absolutely.
And Gaz thinks that your microphone is problematic. Do you have an alternative microphone that you can use?
I will try.
Okay, good. So why don't you mute yourself, and I'll talk a little bit about how this came to be, and then talk a bit about the estimate of situation. We have a guest, actually we have two guests at 4:30, and they're very interesting and exciting guests who are very much involved in this opposition to censorship that we think is so essential to maintain our freedoms. Now, my husband, Major General Albert N. Stubblebine III, was born on February 6, 1930, and he died on his birthday, February 6, 2017. The circumstances surrounding his death and leading directly to his death are ones that we contend were not normal, natural, or proper, and there is legal action concerning that. You've heard me say that for a while, but after he died, he continued to communicate and be his brilliant, funny, insightful, intellectually leading edge self in a way that's been very, very interesting. When Fukushima happened in 2011, one of the things that he immediately did was an estimate of situation, which is a military intelligence term for putting all the facts together and seeing where things are, what's likely to happen, what's unlikely, and so on. It's a planning tool that military intelligence people use. And he was indeed a military intelligence guy. He retired before I met him as the commanding general of the United States Army Intelligence and Security Command. I'm declining a call at this moment. He continues to periodically share estimates of situation with us. And if you are interested, there is a book at nsfmarketplace.com called The General Speaks, Intimate Conversations with the Dead, which is a compilation of the first 2 years of his transmissions. Remember, he died in February 2017, and those transmissions continue. We have a small group of people who speak directly to him and often will ask the same questions in order to triangulate the answers and make sure that we're getting information not from ourselves and our own imaginations.
Rima, can you hear me?
I'm sorry?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you badly.
Let me try this. Wow.
Okay. Let me also say, General Burt was the creator of remote viewing, which became an Army intelligence tool of great productivity. And that's the use of psychic information gathering for intelligence purpose. So the questions were on the day before the election and the day of the election. What is the current estimate? Lower mic output. Gaz is suggesting, Ralph, that you lower your mic output level. The questions that Ralph and I asked General Burt separately without sharing information until we both had talked to him was: one, what's the current estimate of situation? And two, what's the recommended action plan? And his response was rather interesting. He said, so the estimate of situation the night before the election was of necessity different than that of the night of the election, which was when Ralph asked him the question. Although you have to keep in mind that there are fractals, that's probability situations where all the multitude of possibilities have occurred. Biden won, Trump won, neither won. The votes were precisely even. The electoral votes were precisely even. Nancy Pelosi winds up taking office. Both of them are killed when they go to shake hands. The election was canceled. China invaded, Russia invaded, Peru invaded, etc., etc., etc. In other words, every one of those possibilities exists somewhere out there. But the probability ribbons that are the pathways that take us to events that unfurled closest to your energetic centers, and the energetic centers that pulse closest to the probability ribbons brought you collectively to the point where you are now. The statement of the problem is that the condition is unstable. Yes, the condition is unstable, and there are few fixed points of ethics or morality. There is no real affiliation. He's talking about the people who are running the system. There is no real affiliation to the principles of the system, so there is, in essence, no systems. There are only trappings. It is a great deal like the final period of the falling and faltering Roman Empire, when all that was holding the shabby, corrupt mess together were the trappings of greatness and principle. There is really little else at the organizational level, and I would submit, this is me, Dr. Rima speaking, when we get all hyped up about Trump and Biden and red and blue, we are being dupes. It's not about Trump and Biden and red and blue. The system is attempting to control everything, have to be wiser than to allow that. There is really little else at the organizational level that can change, and it may, but not without disruption. I have already prefigured the answer to this question, Love. He's speaking to me. He does not call Ralph Love. By telling you to stay in and stay close and stay safe. You may well be living on the periphery, not the middle of, but the edge of a tumultuous explosion of ill will, greed, and easily led rage. So Bert is saying that there could easily be an explosion of civic disruption. That is not a certainty, but is enough of a likelihood that it must be prepared for. The likelihood of instability just from the dissatisfaction of the populace, in other words, spontaneously arising, is next to nil, with no meaningful probability to anchor it whatsoever. But the riots and disruption may well occur for at least 10 days after the election is declared, and of course the election has not yet been declared, in either's favor, or if it is not declared. What better undermining strategy? We have a constitution, but we do not honor it enough to use it to pick our king. President. This will be, that's a quote from General Burt. This will be an election of indecision and deceit. The real winner of the polls will never actually be known, and there will be speculation about it for 100 years. So prepare for that, folks. The riots will move from city to city to city with a plan and a program to always sow as much divisiveness as possible. But they will sow distrust more than destruction. And that will be fed, and this is in italics, that will be fed by all the factions involved. He says to me, you have food and a way to purify water. That is good. We are talking about something like 10 days, and the racism and violent glorification will be irrational and gleeful, bringing snarling hatred to the fore. Remember that none of this is really the inherent will of the people. It is propagandized theater to break the bonds of decency. Stay home, eat what is in the freezer. Now, I think our guests, that's the beginning. I think it's rather interesting. Actually, I'm almost finished with his message to me, so I'm going to just finish that. Your action plan needs to be that, and then as strongly as you possibly can, make the biggest, this is to us at the Natural Solutions Foundation and to you as part of the health freedom contingent. Make the biggest vaccine stink that you can find a way to make. Make the biggest conspiracy stink. In other words, the nano-chipped vaccines and the Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 information depopulation. Make the biggest conspiracy stink that you can think of making. Voices ringing out are a potent force against complacent tyranny, and people will want to be numb and complacent after the next 2 weeks. If the balance can be maintained, there will be only skirmishes here and there, but the quote winner will be contested for weeks. Realize that it does not matter. Unless the will to not be destroyed, and that is the will of the country, the system, and the people, is strong enough, staying home for the next several months in a warded hideaway will be a very good thing indeed. So the situation is unsettled and unsettling. Ralph, get your family protection in place. And then he speaks to other members of the team. That is the end of the message to me. And then there was another parallel, but as always, focusing on some different aspects and not calling Ralph Love. Message to Ralph.
Can you hear me, Dr. Rima?
What?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're a little scratchy, but I can hear you. Gaz, are we getting an echo on Ralph at this point?
Since we have Zach with us, We should go on to Zach, and then we can go back to General Byrd later. General Byrd is not concerned about time.
He's very unconcerned about time, to say the least. Yes. The feedback is that you're still breaking up. You're a little bit raspy. But Zach, can you understand Ralph when he speaks?
Zach there?
Okay. I hope so. You can. Oh, Gaz says he can understand you very little. Well, then it's a good idea to bring Zach Voorhees in, who is a very important person at this point in the battle for freedom. It's really what it is. And there are people who don't want us free and don't want us to survive. Ralph says Gaz, can you restart your computer? He thinks that rebooting might help. Meanwhile, can we bring Zach in and start our discussion with him? Is that full engineer? So and producer. So Gaz, is it possible? Only if I close my live stream. Aha. Okie doke. I have absolutely. We are now above my pay grade. I do not know what to do. But
close your video on Skype.
Close my video. Alrighty. I will close my video. My video is gone. I am no longer visible to the world at large. I am audible, I presume.
Yes.
Forgive us for these technical glitches, folks. We are working many thousands of miles apart on a couple of different continents. And frankly, it's pretty amazing that any of this is working at all. So, Ralph proves you aren't bots. That is absolutely true. I guess maybe the next generation of bots will be so sophisticated that they have glitches.
Exactly.
Since we're waiting for Zach, we could read your transmission from Bert. I'm not sure whether your sound is good enough to actually read it yourself.
Well, let that try, Dr. Rima. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Good. I'm sure the people on the YouTube can hear me too. So let's start estimate the situation. Preliminaries. The following questions were put to General Byrd by both Dr. Rima and me. His replies are below, followed by his post-election analysis of both the 4th and 5th of November. And by the way, this document will be available through Open Source Truth. Message from Dr. Rima was read already, and here's a message through me. And I'm quoting. The situation changes from moment to moment as the excitation of persons drives your world from bifurcation to bifurcation. The estimate situation is unclear because persons are unsure in their intentionality.
Ralph, I have to stop you. The echo has just gotten to be really terrible.
Isn't that interesting? I will be quiet and let you read it instead.
All right. So this is the message that Ralph got the night before the election, whereas mine was on the night of the election. He says to Ralph, the situation changes from moment to moment as the excitation of persons drives your world from bifurcation to bifurcation. The estimated situation is unclear because the persons are unsure in their intentionality. The most probable bifurcations involve civil unrest, no matter who appears to have, quote, won the U.S. elections. The elections are less relevant than other forces driving humanity. Will it be a dark winter? That is what those who deem themselves the masters of the situation appear to want. On the other hand, masses of people are marching and parading to assert their personal freedom in a time of deepening unfreedom. from my SDG perspective, and you have to understand, folks, that Bert frequently refers to himself as an SDG, or slightly dead guy, and speaks often about the distinction or the lack of distinction between the state that we call death and the state that we don't call death. So Bert says, from my SDG, or slightly dead guy, perspective, above and outside your meat world. The meat world is the one that I'm sorry, Ralph, are you, there's crosstalk. Are you trying to speak, Ralph?
No.
Okay, well then your microphone was picking up sound. Was somebody speaking to you? That's interesting. From my SDG perspective, above and outside your meat world, that's the physical 3D world, I perceive the light growing and therefore the shadow deepening. You must hold the light. If you do not hold the light, if you all do not hold the light, the dark winter will be all too real. Here is the array of forces in the political sphere. 1, on the right, you find the nationalists, including Trump, Proud Boys, militia, ... from serious to boogaloo posturing. I doubt they will man the barricades, though they might find themselves pushed into that. 2, a huge influx of guns has a big role to play in the situation. When even old peaceful hippies like my beloved, he is referring to me, are getting armed, the situation is uncontrollable. Yes, that's true. On 3, Ralph, there's a message for you that Gaz would like you to read. 3, on the left can be found confused liberals, not sure they really want to stand with Marxists and nihilists. Your libertarian friends, he's speaking to Ralph, and Ralph is a long-term libertarian. He says, your libertarian friends have one foot in the revolution and one ready to run. Not a bad posture. Be nimble and ready to jump. Overriding these, number 4, overriding these is what has come to be called the deep state, the quote, intelligence community, end quote, and the various police forces. They always opt for control. To them, the declared pandemic is a golden opportunity. They will strive for vaccine mandates and travel restrictions, no matter who is in the White House. 5, and then there are the money powers, but all their certainties are shattering. Their wealth will not protect them. Their money evaporates as they scramble to keep their false economic bubbling. But the political situation is not
the last time side. Oh, damn.
Oh, very good perspective.
Is that Zach?
That's Zach. Zach.
Hi, Zach. Zach, give me
That
1
sucks.
second.
Well, I think we may have to replace the keytar LEDs with something else that is like the 20.
Zach, can
Yeah.
you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can now. Give me a second to finish what I'm reading, and then we'll bring you in, okay?
Someone's. I'm about to go on live, so I'll call you after this, okay, buddy? All right, great.
Hi, Zach. This is Dr.
Hi there.
Rima. Just give me a second to finish the piece that I'm reading, and then we'll bring you in and introduce you and celebrate what you're doing, okay? Give me a second.
All right.
So to finish what Bert said to Ralph on election night, or the night before the election, but the political situation is not the primary situation. What is primary is intentionality and consciousness that raises frequency. That is where you must hold the light. This is about consciousness and sovereignty, not politics. The real work is inner work. And then there's, I think that gives you the essence of the transmission, the estimate of situation transmission, when Ralph and I asked General Burt in his slightly dead guy form the questions, what's going to happen and what should we do? Now, we have somebody very special here today who is both courageous and alive, unlike General Burt, who is courageous and dead. Zach Voorhees. Ralph, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Good. Okay. Ralph, would you like to introduce Zach?
I'm going to let Zach introduce himself because I'm getting a terrible echo, and the folks on YouTube tell me
All right.
barely hear.
Hi,
All right.
can you hear me very well?
I can hear you well, Zach.
Okay, great.
Go for it.
Yes, my name is Zach Voorhees. I am known as the Google whistleblower. I worked for Google for 8.5 years before discovering that they were engaging in horrendous censorship. I investigated and found out that it was a wide-ranging project called Machine Learning Fairness, which is essentially systemic racism, like critical race theory, embedded into an AI system that was being unleashed into the public unknowingly through Google Search, YouTube Search, and Google News. I collected 950 pages documenting this system, and I released this to the public in June of 2019, and then again on a larger full disclosure of August of 2019 through Project Veritas. I also sent this information to the Department of Justice Antitrust Division, and soon after they launched an investigation with the against Google, against their antitrust stuff, and also 52 state attorney generals did the same, and the city of New York. We're now at the election. Censorship and election rigging are incredible. And this is something that I warned the public about. And I feel that I was able to give the public a heads up on what was happening. And now we see it. And now I'm vindicated in my actions. Now, essentially, what I'm doing is I'm doing the final phase in this disclosure, which is justice. I am our crowdfunding campaign, punchgoogle.com. Garnered over $100,000, and we are bringing this case from the district court through that's where we are right now. So thank you for having me on the program.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Zach. And the Natural Solutions Foundation has been working with you to support your activities and disseminate your information. Tell us more about the system. Tell us more about the program that you discovered being woven into the searches and access patterns at Google. And also tell us if it ties into Knowledge Vault.
I don't know what knowledgeable is, but let me explain how. Oh, okay. So this all started in 2016 when Donald Trump won the election, and there was an hour-long interview election and giving their thoughts on. And you know, most of it has gone to what Sergey Brin has said, and the chief financial officer, but less attention has been given to a question that was asked to CEO Sundar Pichai. And that question was, what was some of the things that Google did that were very effective? To which Sundar Pichai answered that the most effective thing was the use of machine learning in order to censor the fake news. Well, that turned out to be news to me. I thought Google's mission statement of organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful precluded the use of censorship of what they deemed to be fake news. So because Google is a company that is open, unlike siloed companies like Apple or the CIA, which are closed, I was able at Google to go in and see what my neighbors are working on. And so what I did is I dug in and I saw that the fake news department was essentially trying to define what fake news was. And the examples that they used all happened to be dealing with Hillary Clinton running weapons to Benghazi in order to arm ISIS, and also FBI officers that were dying because Clinton supposedly killed them. Now, what was interesting was that these headlines that were being used were actually fake news being pushed by disreputable organizations, but they were so close to the actual news that was happening that, well, how could you tell the difference? And if you're an AI system that is kind of dumb, they're not going to be able to tell the difference either, between a deliberately sabotaged headline and a legitimate headline that is actually talking about the crimes of Hillary Clinton. And so what I realized is that because of this selective use of fake news having to do with Hillary Clinton, I decided that I was going to dig in and try to figure out what the censorship mechanism was going to be. And what I found was that this mechanism of censorship was called machine learning fairness. Now, what is machine learning? Machine learning is a type of AI. And you can think of AI as this very large circle. And in that, there's a whole bunch of different types of AIs. There's AIs that know how to play chess, for example. And then there's AIs that will drive your car. And we also have a type of AI that forms a very large circle of this AI system called machine learning. And the way that machine learning works is that you feed it a bunch of training data, and then it starts to generate its own mapping of how that training data is assigned certain labels. So for example, if you were to give this system, let's say 1 million instances of news articles, and half of them were labeled as fake news and half of them were not, then this AI system would literally teach itself English and then figure out the